Hi there, Tim Key coming to you live from my basement this time. I thought I'd talk a little bit about my history with Mortal Kombat and how I got into this crazy franchise. It all started probably back in 92. Yeah, 92. I mean, I know that's when the game came out, but obviously it takes a while for Australia to get the arcade game sometimes. And I think it was 92 or 93, September. My cousin tells me there's this new game that he wants to show me, where you're this guy and you can like freeze people, and then at the end, if you beat the guy, you can kill him. And I'm like, well, that sounds a bit nasty, you know. And but I'm like, okay. So he brings me over to this arcade machine. At the time I was living in Queensland, which is, for you Americans, sort of the top right of Australia, that pointy part sort of up there. And yeah, he brings me over and he shows me the game, and I remember he beat the first match, but he couldn't get that the Sub-Zero's fatality out the first time. But yeah, he beat the second guy, and then he showed me Sub-Zero's spine rip fatality, and I was like, oh, that's pretty full on, you know. Does that need to be in the game? You know, actually, I remember saying at the time that I thought the game should be banned, which is like, you know, I can't believe I said that, you know, because I'm all for violent stuff. I love violent movies and horror movies and stuff, but at the time I just thought there was no point to the game. I thought the idea of the game was to beat and kill the guy, which is, I mean, sort of is one of the points of Mortal Kombat, but, you know, after that I really didn't pay much attention to the arcade game. And like, I think about a year went on, and then everyone was talking about Mortal Kombat at my high school. Yeah, at the time I had a friend, and we would hire games like every Friday after school, and one day he wanted to hire Mortal Kombat, and I'm like, I remember that game, you know, I don't know. And he's like, oh, come on, it'll be fun, we'll beat each other up. I'm like, alright. So we hired the Mega Drive version of Mortal Kombat, and I remember that day I told someone I was hiring it, and he goes, oh, are you getting it? Because it had just come out on Mega Drive, you know. And I go, yeah. And he goes, you got to try this code, man. I've got this code, and apparently it like lets you have blood like the arcade one. And I'm like, okay. So he gave me the code, and I went home and I tried it, and it worked. Get over here, you know. And then we played the game, and we really didn't know what we were doing at first. We were just sort of fighting, and I told him, I'm like, once my cousin showed me this thing where you can rip this guy's head off, it's fatality or something. I go, I don't know how he did it though, you know. And we were like, and we were just trying to figure it out, you know, and couldn't figure out anything, obviously. But I remember we were on the pit, and he uppercutted, I think it was me, into the pit. And I'm like, oh cool, that has to be a fatality. But in Mortal Kombat 1, you know, when you hit a guy into the pit, it doesn't call it a fatality, you just fall. I'm like, how can that not be a fatality, man? I don't get it. You know. And yeah, so we were playing Mortal Kombat all the time, and I think, yeah, once he accidentally did the fatality with Kano, which is normally on arcade it's like a full half circle and then low punch, but on the Mega Drive version, if you just tap back low punch, it works. So he must have done that, and he ripped out my heart, and I'm like, oh cool, that's a fatality. The screen's all black and everything. So that's how I got into like Mortal Kombat. After that, I got like pretty good at the game. At first, I was like pretty crap, and then like I started playing with my friends because everyone was playing it, you know. And I just got really good and sort of became obsessed. I sort of knew everything about the Mega Drive version, from the Dollard cheats. I knew what every flag did. I figured out the reptile thing eventually, and at first I'm like, oh, what's with this base and all that. And then Mortal Kombat 2. Well, actually, before I talk about Mortal Kombat 2, what happened was, after the arcade had become popular, and sometime between the arcade being popular and the home version coming out, was someone actually in my area of my suburb where I lived in Queensland had complained about the blood in the game, and it had gone up to like one of the government idiots, and they'd actually banned blood in Mortal Kombat 1 and 2 in Queensland. So the whole of Queensland has a ban of Mortal Kombat 1 and 2 having blood on it. Yeah, $10,000 fine if you're caught having Mortal Kombat arcade machines 1 or 2 with the blood on it. I think 3 wasn't included, or Ultimate MK3, because it had that AMA parental advisory thing at the start. But yeah, so after I got good at the home version of Mortal Kombat, I wanted to start playing the arcade now, because, you know, I liked it now, I didn't hate it, and I knew all the story and everything, and I'm like, it's time to try the big boys, you know. And but all the arcades had the blood off, so I actually played Mortal Kombat on blood. This is like playing the SNES version. Mortal Kombat on arcade, sorry, without the blood, just like the SNES version. So that was it's unless you've done it, it's very interesting playing Mortal Kombat on arcade, beating the guy, and then it coming up, finish him, and you can't do anything. I mean, no fatalities, no pit moves. Even on SNES you could do something, but on the arcade version, because I hadn't anticipated this violence ban thing, I mean, even though they had the switch to turn it off, you couldn't do anything. It said finish him, but you couldn't finish him, you know. All you could do was hit him. Yeah, so that was full on. And then began the Mortal Kombat 2 hype. Oh boy, when that started. After Mortal Kombat 1 on SNES had been given a hammering for not having the blood, they announced that Mortal Kombat 2 on SNES would have the blood. And when that came out, oh mate, it was the perfect version. The perfect version. Mortal Kombat 2 on SNES cost me 128 Australian dollars. I remember buying it, and the day it was out, I remember going into like Target, and there were like, you know, a whole big section of Mortal Kombat 2s. And yeah, what a ride, man. I went home and I'm like, oh, I finally got it, and just the SNES version was perfect with the blood, had all the fatalities in, and because we still had this ban on the arcades, and the version was pretty decent, it was a lot of fun to play. In fact, I became addicted to Mortal Kombat 2. I think I even played that more than Mortal Kombat 1 on the SNES. I mean, the box here is pretty, it's been pretty good and neat, but yeah, I was taking the rating off there. I think I stuck it on the cartridge back then. I'm like, yeah, it's MA, man. Yeah, but Mortal Kombat 2, that I gave that a hammering. In fact, there's an old TV back here. I don't know if you guys can see it. Really old TV. Back here, piece of paper. That's got all the yeah, this piece of paper. It's got all the cheats for Mortal Kombat on SNES. You know, I don't know if you guys ever did them. You know, like down, up, right, up, left, select would give you like 6 times the amount of strength. So when you uppercutted them, they went straight into danger. Or things like up, up, left, up, down, select, which was my favourite cheat. It gave you extended time to do your fatalities, like 30 seconds or something ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, that was the TV I played all Mortal Kombat 1 and 2 on. That's where it happened, you know. I also got a Commodore 64 here. That's sort of where my gaming started. I had an Atari, Commodore 64, Mega Drive, which is my favourite console. Then I got a SNES later on, and from there on I've had Master System and Nintendo 60. I've had them all pretty much. But it's been crazy. After Mortal Kombat 1 and 2, I sort of remember yeah, it was about 95, 94 when my family moved from Queensland down to Melbourne, which is sort of the bottom part of the big landmass of Australia, where they didn't have the ban on Mortal Kombat. The first thing I wanted to do, after being really pissed, leaving all my friends from Queensland, is find a Mortal Kombat 1 and 2 machine, because I knew they'd have blood on. And it took a while, because I'd just gotten to Melbourne, and I rang all the big arcades, and they all said, oh, we don't have Mortal Kombat, but we have this other game, Killer Instinct. And I'm like, Killer Instinct? I don't want to fucking play Killer Instinct. I want to play fucking Mortal Kombat. Killer Instinct sounds stupid anyway. I know. Silly, huh? But yeah, It's just that